Welcome to the Calgary Sessions. This is episode number 25, I should say 35. I'm your host, Jeff Humphreys. Today's guest, we were just talking off camera, and I think it's going to be an entertaining conversation because I think where this is going to go could be very fun. So introduce yourself, name, and what you're up to.
So my name's Mak London. My original name is Magdalena, and I'm an artist and an entrepreneur, and I do all sorts of things.
Cool. And we'll get into those things throughout the show.
Lots of things.
So I like to just let the guests go back as far as they want to go. This is kind of like an origin story idea. Go back to when you were a kid and you started getting inspired by things, or how you grew up, or where you grew up. So just kind of take it back a bit, and then we'll get into it.
Well, let's fly over the pond then to Krakow, Poland.
That's where you're born?
That's where I was born.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm an only child, so my parents had me very young. They were 21 years old. And so when kids usually say mom or dad as their first words, I didn't do that, of course. I was a rebel and I decided to sing a song. So the whole family just kind of was like, okay, well, this kid's going to be a performer.
Do you remember what song it was?
Yeah, it was a bit of pickle.
No
It's
way.
like a Polish song about a pickle. Yeah, I could sing it for you, but I think I'd just butcher it. No one would understand me. So
Exactly.
we'll just leave that out. Yeah, but since that time, I just remember getting on tables and singing and learning the piano and picking up the guitar. And it was crazy because I lived in Europe when it was post-communist. So there was like no food in the stores. We all had like tiny little coupons, and you could only buy like bread, mustard, butter, which was actually my favorite sandwich growing up. Just random. But yeah, we left kind of in the middle of the night to Germany, and we stayed there in Hof. It's like an eastern Bavarian town in Germany. My parents, we stayed in kind of like a bed and breakfast almost.
Yep.
My parents worked downstairs and
no way.
worked in the kitchen, and I went to kindergarten in Germany. And I
Why'd
think
they-
grade 1 as well.
Why'd they leave? Why'd they get out of Poland?
Well, just post-communist, they just wanted a better life, And I think like with me, they kind of saw something in me, and they were hoping that it would come into fruition better with like better luck in Germany, and hopefully they were choosing between Canada and Australia eventually. So that's that was kind of their reason for leaving. They just wanted something better and knew that it was out there on the horizon.
Yep.
So we left poverty in Poland, and then we were in Germany. We've, some really great memories there. And I learned German super quickly. So I actually translated for my parents at immigration. But it was scary. I mean, there was still like, I remember my aunt coming into town to visit us, and she got like deported in a van in the middle of the night.
No way.
Back to Poland. So it was super scary, and the Berlin Wall fell, and we decided to leave.
Wow.
So we left to Toronto.
Can you imagine, because I know you're a parent.
Yeah.
Could you imagine doing that? Like uprooting
always
your
say that.
and skip and going to a different.
No, I literally had this conversation with my parents like weeks ago. I was like, how did you do it? You were 21 years old with a 5-year-old.
And was it just they just wanted literally something better for you?
Yeah.
Which seems.
But it's so brave. Like
crazy.
I'm so much older than they were, and I have a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old. And I could not imagine just like putting everything in a tiny Fiat.
Yep.
Literally, there was a little circle just for me to look out with my tiny little stuffy. And I just remember like rolling into Germany and there being like soldiers with guns and stuff. It's insane.
It's something out of a movie.
It is a movie. People tell me to write a book because I have my own childhood memories of it, which are probably like, when you exaggerate things as a child, or they're scarier or they're darker or bigger. So like my story is probably very different from what actually happened, but it's fairly close because I've talked to my parents about it, and they're like, oh yeah, like we were in a tunnel and there was people coming in from both sides, and it was a risk.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So they decided to go to Toronto?
Toronto. Yeah.
Where does that even come from?
I think we had an aunt or a cousin or something. It was all through family. So we did have, I think, a distant cousin. We ended up living there, and it was just not working out. First of all, we like landed in the middle of a heat wave, and we all got the flu like the first week we got there. So we're just there like dying of fevers. And yeah, there was just no work. I think my parents were struggling. We were living in this home we didn't want to live in, and so my grandfather went to medical school with our then doctor in Calgary, who sponsored us to come to Calgary. So she kind of got everything figured out for us, found us a little place to stay, got like, the sponsorship programs where they bring in the boxes to like for Christmas and things like that. I remember first Christmas in Calgary, we got like 4 boxes in, and there was like cereal and Barbie dolls and like things I've never seen before. Because when I was little, my only little toy was like a tiny little red Ferrari, which I promised myself I would buy the real thing one day, and a little stuffed bunny.
No way.
Yeah.
How old are you when that Christmas memory-ish?
I think 9-ish, something like that. So now when I look at my son and he gets like a brand new bike for Christmas that's like more expensive than my bike, I just,
It's different.
It's so different. And we try to give back now. So we do the sponsorship program now for different families, and it's just kind of full circle. It's amazing.
When you were growing up between like Germany, Toronto, and then getting to Calgary, what were you doing besides like singing on tables and playing pianos? Was it?
I actually got very quiet. Yeah.
Being in a new country?
Yeah. I mean, like learning German was one thing, but then I got thrown into grade 2 or grade 3 it was, and had to learn English. And I had like a German translator translating from Polish to German to English. It was just like, it was kind of traumatic in a way. So it got me more shy and introverted than I think I was originally. So it did change me.
Just because you were afraid to speak and be judged about the accent or saying something wrong or whatever?
Yeah, exactly. So I got really quiet for years, and I ended up being like a secret. It ended up being a secret that I wanted to sing. And my parents offered. They're like, let's do singing lessons. Like, you really love this. We keep hearing you in your room. You're making up songs on the piano, and let's get you piano lessons. And I was just like, no.
And musically, like playing the piano or different instruments, were you just kind of
self-taught mostly?
Yep.
I had like 2 years of piano lessons, or maybe 3, and my parents could correct me on this, but the guitar is self-taught, the drums are self-taught. So
you just like music was a thing.
It's just a thing. Yeah.
And keeping it a secret was just
so like a perfectionist, an introvert, and just so scared of failure. I've been that my whole life.
The introvert piece is like, where are you now in the extrovert introvert scale?
I'm on a scale. I kind of do this. So, I mean, I can turn it on and be in front of the camera and be in the studio and just like be. I have terrible performance anxiety on stage. Like, I have clam stories like you wouldn't believe. Like, being on stage with Brett Kissel, and all of a sudden my earpiece stops working and all I can hear is my buddy Spencer on the drums, and I'm just like white as a ghost.
Lost.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Because to be an entertainer, like to be a singer, obviously you got to be out there.
You do. And that's been my battle. Like, pretty much since I left Poland, that's been my demon, is how to get over myself and get out there.
Interesting. And
so this year has been specifically monumental for me in terms of my growth, because I just said, screw it. I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to produce and direct these crazy videos and kind of do what I feel in the moment. Write these songs. We wrote 35 to 55 songs, but of those 35 were fully written in a span of 9 months.
Crazy.
And produced an album in like 4 months.
And just because you told yourself it was time, like enough with the...
Well, I got offered a record deal. That's a crazy story.
Before you started writing? Okay, let's go back. We'll get to the record.
Yeah, I know.
Let's go. I want you to go back to when you got to Calgary and just like what your Calgary life started looking like. And so you were 9, what year was that-ish?
Gosh.
I'm trying to paint the picture of what Calgary actually looked like back then.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was chill. People were saying hi to each other on the sidewalk and high-fiving. My parents had a maroon Crown Victoria that actually the brakes went on a red light. So it was kind of like are we going to get hit or not?
Yeah.
I mean, we moved around. I moved schools. I picked up, a best friend that was Polish as well. She also had a different story. My parents decided to come to Canada instead of Australia, so I still have a bit of a pet peeve with yeah, right? Yeah. I think I would be better Australian than Canadian. But so I had her name's Sarah, and she was my best friend for like life. And we actually ended up falling in love with the Backstreet Boys. And of course went to all their concerts, but we would host a radio show, pretend radio show in my room, and we would like record commercials and record us singing the whole album. And that's like, so it just kept on nagging at me. It wouldn't go away.
And were you doing other things growing up? Like, did you Besides working with your mom and dad, like were you
black
sports?
belt in karate.
No way.
Yeah. Rollerblading, but like inline aggressive rollerblading. So while everybody had their skateboards out, I was like, no, I'm going to be different. So I got like the rollerblades with like the little space in between the wheels to do the slides, and then got on a half pipe, and then went to Europe, did some skating there.
Crazy.
So yeah.
Black belt.
Yeah.
How many years does that take to?
Lots.
Like when did you start?
Many. 8 or 9. Well, right when I arrived. So maybe 9 or 10. Yeah.
Why did your parents put you in black belt?
Survival.
Was it partially because did they see that you were kind of quiet and just like?
I think they were worried about me, pretty girl.
Yep.
You know, and they wanted me to also have some confidence and have some reflexes and be able to take care of myself. And to be honest, like I'm so grateful because 1, the reflexes are still in my body, and 2, I feel pretty safe still walking around like to my car at night and stuff. So,
how long does it take to get your?
It's a dedication. Like it's like six years or something like that, that it was. And you know what? I ended up getting pretty scared at the end because I was the youngest and the only female. And I had like, growth spurts, of course. So guys were growing faster than me, and they were older than me. So I was doing competitions and fights with like men, and I was a girl. And so those hits hurt. Right. So I just decided to quit. And that was that.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And the skating, like hobby, was it just something you were like inline skating back then it was a thing, but it was kind of like an underground thing.
Yeah, it was like some competitive stuff, but mostly hobby. Like I think like I got into skiing a lot too. So I just loved jumps, and I was a tomboy. I was just like getting air, and doing tricks and photographing, and like, my girlfriend Sarah and I, we would do this together. So
cool.
Yeah.
The interesting thing you said was just it sounds so movie cliche when you're talking about your parents working in these like after hours places.
Yeah.
When you're growing up in that, is it just, do you pick up anything? Do you look at, are you around that atmosphere and wondering like how they do this, or this is just normal in your household, or like the amount of work they had to do, like hard work?
I think it's in me now.
Yeah.
Yeah. They've ingrained that in me. Like there's nothing that I can't do. And to my detriment, sometimes I'm like a workaholic and I overwork and I try to pick up so many different things just because I want to be successful. So I watch them working really hard, and I watch them work hard for me. Yep. So now I do the same for my kids. It was like, and both my parents, like my dad became a principal at one of the #1 firms in Calgary, and now he owns his own architectural company. Cool. And asked me to be a partner. Like those are things that
What's the name of it? I'd like a little plug here.
Oh, Das Architecture.
Cool.
Yeah. So, and then my mom became like such a great teacher that she was actually forming the curriculum for grade 6 students, and like with the Calgary Board of Education. So I'm really proud. To be an immigrant, I'm really proud to see my parents work that hard, and it's in me now. It's in my blood.
It's pretty crazy, me hearing the story for the first time, obviously, but from like that adventure and now to say where they are right now, it's just.
And I love like seeing like, cleaning ladies or cleaning like a crew come in. I specifically sometimes stay late at night at work just to like chill with them. There's some nostalgia there.
Oh, I can't. Yeah,
they come in and I just like have conversations with them, and I'm just like they're friends. It's like I know what it is. I know what it takes, and not that I did it. Like sometimes I would help out, but
you're around.
I don't think my parents understand how much I remember, but it's in me. Yeah.
When did you figure out that it was? When have you figured out that it's in you? Have you always known there's something different of how you kind of operate, or is it lately that you can kind of tie that back to, what?
I think since my divorce and me having to step out on my own 2 feet and just realizing like how my brain works and how much appreciation I have for different aspects of life, I think it's been monumental for me. A really challenging but very inspiring period of my life.
Yeah, I can't like. Yeah. Or you kind of come alive and you're like, this is a big moment.
It is a big moment. So I'm free. Now I can do what I want.
It's got to feel unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like just in the, what is it now, 4 years, it's crazy what I've gotten up to, So.
Cool.
Yeah.
After high school, Did you go to university? Like where's your kind of head at?
So I picked up modeling when I was 14 years old.
How do you pick up modeling?
Okay. Well, you go to a women's show with your parents and you're just walking around and then an agent comes up to you and goes, "Hey, you're pretty. Do you want to give this a go?"
Gotcha.
And from then I got represented by a few agencies in Calgary and ended up traveling internationally, lived in Korea for some time.
Like young, like how old were you when this was happening? Well, 14 they find you, but then
14 they find me, and there's some development years obviously,
Yep.
and you're waiting for puberty to hit and you're waiting for things to, your skin needs to clear, your arms need to grow, or like you're just looking weird all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So there was some highs and lows of modeling for sure, but the traveling really started kind of in my late teens to early 20s. Because then I found that I was like safe enough to travel on my own and I didn't need to have a parent with me. And so it was more of a me adventure because I've been fairly independent my whole life. So yeah, we made a decision that I would go travel internationally, and I lived in Seoul, Korea. I worked with like Andre Kim in Seoul, which is one of the most famous designers. I opened his show there. It was like 3,000 people.
Like walking out down the runway? Like,
walking around the runway,
I'm not being disrespectful. I know nothing,
it's okay.
So I'm going to ask you questions.
Like, campaigns, flying to Jamaica with the Forzani group, so doing Sport Check and having campaigns with LG and Samsung for their commercials. Like, I had a campaign with Adidas in Asia for golf wear. That was interesting because I don't know. Okay. I was like, how do I hold this? Show me. So that was funny. And, just like bikini stuff, lingerie, like you just kind of grow up in that space. And that was impactful as a female. I think it messed with me for quite some time.
Impactful and mess with you.
Yeah.
Explain.
Well, I mean, like, getting immersed in different cultures as you travel around to Europe, to Asia, you're experiencing all that. So you're growing as a person, and there's education involved in just like languages, the food, the way of business and casting calls and things like that, and just how to get the job. I secretly learned Korean so that I would understand what the agents were talking about when they were talking about me, because I got frustrated. And I was like, I'm going to get these jobs. I just need to know what they're saying.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
And it worked?
Yeah. So kamsamida.
How do you just pick it up? Like, is it?
You learn it at night when everyone's sleeping.
But it's like way extra work.
Yeah. Yeah. But it was like the smart thing to do. And that's why I was able to come home with, a nice chunk of change.
Yep.
So
right after high school, you started traveling around modeling? Did you university?
I did university as well. So
while you're bouncing around?
Bouncing around, but also doing university. So it was kind of a mishmash. I went into pre-med first, and I just decided that it wasn't for me. My whole family in Europe is in medical, some sort of medical career. So my grandpa was a heart doctor. My uncle is like a general doctor. My grandma was a pharmacist. My other grandma worked at like the blood donation clinic as a director for all things Krakow related.
Crazy.
So it was like a really intense family to follow in their footsteps. And so I was like, I'm going to be a doctor.
Were you good at school?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You say that so like... Like aces, like all the time?
I got a 4.0 scholarship on my second degree. So the first one, that was interesting. So I stepped into medical schools. I was like, I'm going to do this.
Here in town?
Yeah.
Okay.
University of Calgary. I walk into the chem lab and the physics lecture, and I'm just like...
No way.
Yeah. It was such a huge jump from high school to university, and I'm not sciences. I'm arts. I'm like entertainment. So...
Yeah, sorry.
I got a letter from the university saying, make a decision here, get a tutor.
No way. Your marks were...
Yeah, my marks in those two subjects were like atrocious. And I was too proud to tell my parents. And to this day, they're like, you should have told us. You could have been a doctor. But no, I decided to go into urban planning, specifically urban studies, which is the study of people and spaces. I liked psychology and I liked design. And I just didn't know whether I was going to go into architecture. So we hummed and hawed about environmental design and architecture because my father's an architect. Do I follow in his footsteps?
Yep.
And I'm always like the one who wants to go against the grain and do things in spite. So I was like, no.
Did they talk? Like, were you having?
Oh yeah,
was your dad trying to help you? Like,
these were full on conversations. These were like debates, and like family meetings were held about what to do with my career.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I finished my urban planning degree, and right at that moment, I ended up job shadowing for Sanders Lee, which is the owner of Hopewell Group of Companies.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of got that opportunity through a friend, and he kind of looked at him. He's like, "What do you want to do?" I was like, "I want to be a project manager." just throw something out there, female, rah, rah, rah.
Yep.
And he's like, "Okay, here's your job." So I got my first job at Sable Homes doing just that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was the youngest project manager, taking care of I think it was 1,000 units, 500 in Southeast and 500 in the Northwest, building at the same time.
So dealing with all the trades, the timelines, budgets.
Yeah. And you got to remember, at that point, I'm just this girly girl who still works at the bar at night. And
you worked in the bars?
So many.
No way.
Oh my God.
Okay, we're going to go there. So
did the Cactus Club thing, did the Earls, did the Moxies, did the piano bar, all of that. So of course I'm wearing stilettos, driving my BMW, which I bought from one of the trips that I went on for modeling. And I roll up to the job site, and the guys are just like, "Oh my God,
who is this?
We hate her. Secretly love me, but hate her."
What was when you got to these job sites, I'm sure when you're rolling up, you could probably guess what they think of you.
Oh yeah. But that was the fun part.
Yeah. Because you could.
I enjoyed that.
Because you could prove that you're totally different.
Yeah.
That you knew what you were talking about.
Totally different.
Educated.
The moment that I opened my mouth, they were like, "Oh, damn, she's not stupid."
Yeah. This isn't our new whipping person.
Yeah. So I did that for a bit, and then still traveled to Asia, did my thing there, and then came back and decided that I was going to retire. And from modeling.
Yep.
It was just time.
You were just done with it? Get older, you've been doing it a long time.
Yeah, and it was starting to get to me. I saw girls not taking care of themselves properly, especially in Asia. It was really, there was a lot of requirements there. I remember I was getting measured every 3 days.
Crazy.
So there was a lot of mental health that was going on there that I was just I'm out. I'm in my 20s now. I've got to start a career doing something else. And so I actually started my own home building company. I came back home and started that.
And what's it called?
Well, it was...
What was it called?
At the time, it was called Precision Homes.
Okay.
So, yeah, that was right when the economy crashed the first time. So there was some real estate investments that went sideways. There was some stuff going on there. And then in that moment, I was like, okay, well, in order to do this properly, since I've got the project management career going, and then I've got the building career going, now I've got to get my interior design degree so I can design and build and do it all. Because of course,
why not?
I've got to do it all.
Yep.
So that's where I got accepted into Mount Royal University with a scholarship based on the entrance portfolio.
Cool.
Which was really cool.
Into their interior design program?
Yeah.
And that's a really good one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably one of the best. Yeah.
Yeah. And really difficult.
Yeah.
I know a few people that have run through it, and it sounds very intense.
It's nights and nights in a row you're not sleeping.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 4.0 all the way through.
No way.
Yeah.
You're
I was a go-getter.
Yeah. I think I know the answer, but are you 4.0 all the time in anything, or only what you're interested in?
I think only what sparks my interest at that time.
Yep.
And that's the problem too, is sometimes I have to do something, and if I don't want to do it, that's problematic. So it has to be piquing my interest at that time.
Yep.
So there's been a lot of growth happening and trying to change that.
Did you know that you wanted to be in the building area? As a builder designer, did you know that was a possible path for you when you got your first degree?
Yeah. And if we go back to that time that I was in Krakow singing, it's really interesting because my dad was doing his architectural exams at the time, and he made a little architectural table for me in my room. And I was already drawing buildings and rendering them basically.
Yep.
And then also refurbishing and changing the layout of my bedroom probably every 4 weeks. Probably really annoying for my parents.
Yep.
But
dragging things around.
Yeah, moving them at night. I would wake up at night and be like, I need to change. I couldn't sleep. I had to change my bedroom right at that moment. So, a weirdo.
But when you can look back on all these things,
now it makes sense.
It all lines up.
Yeah. And I've always struggled because, now I'm like, well, how do I integrate fashion and design and music all into one package? Do I have to choose one? And, you know, you start to think like, well, you're in your 30s now, so you just kind of like choose one, be an adult, like choose just one and focus on that. And I can't, because they're so strong. That like one doesn't supersede the other. So
how do you manage that?
ADHD.
But it's got to be like, there's only X amount of hours in a week.
Yeah.
Is it flat out all the time?
Well, you know what? Like, I think like I've been trying to figure out a way to do it all. And so I do music as it was during the pandemic. It was like the perfect time to do the music because the world went super quiet. And so I had all this time and the musicians had time. And when I had been offered the record deal, I was like, let's go.
So before the pandemic, like you have so much going on. I'm just like, my head's rolling here. But you know, you've retired from modeling. You've now got 2 degrees.
Yeah.
And where's all the singing? Is it still like
still quiet?
Nobody knows about it?
No.
So when did you start talking about it?
Divorce.
Trigger.
Yeah. Flew to Nashville with some friends, sitting in front of Brett Kissel, like at 1 o'clock in the morning. You know, whiskey's out, guitars are sitting around.
Yep.
And he goes, so tell me about yourself and like, what do you want to do? Like, what
This is all
inspires
random?
you?
This is all random.
Pretty random.
Right place, right time.
Yeah,
Yep.
I would think so.
Okay.
And he's like, so like, what makes your heart sing? I was like, Brett, actually, it's what you do. And he's like, what do you mean? He was like so confused because he's like, you're an interior designer, and here I am trying to like give him design advice on his plays. And he's like, well, do you sing? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, do you play an instrument? I'm like, yeah. So he hands me the guitar and I sing Walking in Memphis for him in like the middle of the night.
Is this on tape anywhere?
No.
That's too bad.
No.
But
it was one of those moments, like we're talking like monumental for me, because here's a girl who's scared to open her mouth and just does things like perfect everywhere else in her life. And I know that I'm not the greatest singer and I'm not the greatest guitarist. And that's what bothers me the most about the whole situation. But here I am challenging myself and going, no, like these are these moments where you look back and you're like, I'm glad I did that. And I'm so glad I did that, because we landed back in Calgary, and then I'm at another event and the owner of OCL Studios comes up to me and says, you know, hey, how about we make a record with a bunch of other people?
And how do they know that you?
It went around, I guess. Yeah.
From that one interaction?
Yeah.
He talked to the right people and then it just kind of got back to what you're up to.
So I dropped to my knees, because you can imagine that my dream in life has always been to record and make music.
That trumps everything?
Pretty much. Yeah. My happiest place I've got a smile from ear to ear is in the studio. I could do it for hours and hours and hours. It's unfortunate because as a musician, you don't make any money unless you're like in the top 0.01%.
Yeah.
So it's frustrating because like that's what I see myself doing like inevitably at some point. But now it's more of like we'll get to that. But like it was always like, okay, I'll do this and this is a dream and we'll see what happens. Yep. There's always like this like hope, right?
Yeah. And meanwhile, you're kind of building your building business, the home building business, the design stuff. Yeah.
So then at that point, I'm now hired as an interior designer on a project. And so it's like a serious 2-year commitment to this. And I'm, doing this on the off hours and then at night, like working till 3 o'clock in the morning on this album, or like driving out to OCL Studios on the weekends and taking some days off to like complete this project. It was crazy.
What does a record deal look like? So when somebody says that to you, what does that actually mean?
Well, it can mean a whole bunch of things. Like when Warner called me, for example, they were offering a different type of deal than this, but this was mostly just recording the album and facilitating that.
Your own songs?
Yeah. So it's all my stuff.
So how does it work? Somebody hears you.
Yeah.
Somebody recommends you. They listen. They like it.
Yeah.
They say, "Do you want to write an album? You want to do an album?" You say yes, and then they say, "Do you have songs? Like, how does this work? Do you need songs?"
So there was the question of, do we need songs or can we write songs? And then I just ended up reaching out to one of my producers and being like, "Hey, like who writes in Calgary?" Because I had no idea. I've never written a song before in my life.
And you haven't played anywhere in Calgary?
No.
Okay. Okay, just to set the table here.
So at that point, I'm introduced to a wonderful human being, Scott Henderson, and he and I get cracking. And we fly to Vancouver. I mean, I'm in Bryan Adams' studio all of a sudden at the warehouse in Vancouver. Like things you could not dream up that happened to one person within like 6 months
right?
happened to me. Yeah. Just.
And especially if you're being like dead quiet on it.
Yeah.
For how many years. And then all of a sudden in a 6-month window, it's all right there.
Yeah. And I remember like, so the first time I ever played guitar was when I heard Sting, like Fragile. I don't know if you know the song.
I probably know how to hear it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful song. So I picked up the guitar and learned how to play that. And like literally in the last 4 years, I happened to be like having dinner with Sting, thanking him for that song. Like just the wildest experiences of my life.
What do you think in these moments? When do you have time? When do you sit back and reflect?
Am I allowed to swear on here?
Yes.
I go, what the fuck?
In the moment, and then when you're flying home, what do you do? Like you just decompress and like wonder what the hell?
Yeah, pretty much. And I go, okay, what's next? You know? And I'll tell you what's next. The next thing that happened is after I released a few songs and they started doing really well in Brazil.
So how do you release them? I'm
okay. So
I'm into.
So Scott and I are working like heavily on this project now. So we're in it. We're in it to win it. We're just like something's gonna come of this.
So he's looking at your songs. Then you're going to record them different places.
Yeah, we've selected our top 10.
Yep.
We're recording them, and then we have a release schedule.
Yep.
And we have our plans of like who to talk to once we're releasing them, like where to send them to, like music supervisors, directors, like
What about
labels, you know.
What about the idea of? Did it ever come up? You know, like building your own brand on social.
It did.
Can you?
I got in trouble.
Okay. This will be interesting. But when you say release your music, and you're kind of going through the traditional outlets, right?
Yeah.
Radio stations, blah blah blah. You're just literally sending emails or like
It was-
MP3s, links, and be like, "Hey, here's a song."
So painful and not my cup of tea. And that's not kind of how I wanted to do it. I was a bit of a rebel.
Yep.
So that's why I got in trouble.
So what happened?
So
And the reason I'm on this with you is because my whole, the reason why I have the podcast and the reason I do my thing is to build my personal brand.
Yeah.
So that I can distribute things.
Well, same here now.
Okay. So
Right.
So
reversing back,
Yeah.
I had an Instagram account, but it's just me and my kids. Like we were representing, little kids apparel and, getting that influencer thing going. I had an account and it was growing, and then I didn't have to really do much to it except for take photos, and it was doing really well.
And then people would contact you, hey, can you wanna try this on, take a photo, we'll give you X amount, blah, blah, blah.
We'll give you these crazy, amazing clothes for the kids for free. And I was like, yes,
I'm in.
please.
Okay.
So we did that, and that became private when I decided to leave my marriage, just for respect of everybody. Didn't have an Instagram account.
You didn't have your own personal one?
No, I kind of just had one.
At
but
what
it was,
age?
Pardon?
Like how, this was like 4 years ago?
No, this was like June of last year.
Okay. Okay. This gets interesting.
So then I'm like, I don't want one. I don't want to have to TikTok. I don't want to Snapchat. I don't want a Twitter. Like, this is ridiculous. Like the amount of work, and that has to go into social media while being a parent, while being a business owner, while trying to save the world. It is impossible.
Yep.
And I told Scott at the time, I was like, I'm not doing it. He's like, somebody's got to do it. I'm like, it's not going to be me. You can follow me around with a camera. We did a documentary. We did like a whole bunch of different things. And so my Instagram account was really if you scroll down on my Mak London page, it's really just this poster of me and like an announcement of when the song was supposed to go up, which even didn't go out at the time because I got in trouble that my name was Mac and not Mak London, so we had to make up a last name. So there's like a whole thing here. So anyways, we ended up having conversations with people from Warner and Universal, and they're like, you have no social presence. You have no followers. Get working on it. But I hate social media so much.
What do you, okay, this is my job, so I'm going to come at it from a different angle. You saw the benefit with you and your son.
Yeah.
You saw the power of what it can be.
Yeah.
Now, you have to build your own thing, and that's where it gets uncomfortable, and that's why you hate social media?
Yeah. So it's focused on me. And so my friends will know that I scramble and I don't know what to post.
Right.
And I sometimes feel like I'm, it's this like relevance game where you're trying to feel relevant and validated by other people. And I'm just like, gross. Like, I don't like that. I just want to like put out music. If you like it, great. If you don't, like, look at my music video. If you like it, cool. If you don't like it, I'll make a better one next year. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to take a selfie of me having a coffee or I don't know. It just feels really weird. But now that I've got a mission and that mission became female empowerment, now it's different. And I think you'll see a lot more things kind of coming out of that this year. A lot of exciting stuff have happened since. So now I kind of, and that's why there's like a post that says I'm taking a break right now, because I'm just like recalibrating and deciding what that's going to look like. Because it's just like people are, you know, they post anything and everything, and some people are really good at it. They've got this fashion thing going on, and then, I don't know, you kind of get self-conscious too.
For sure.
Right? You're just like, I didn't get that many likes on that post, or there's not a lot of people commenting. Where'd they all go? You know, I stopped posting music. I lost 1,000 followers over 6 months.
Like, you know, you and I could talk about this for like
forever,
hours, because this is like
our thing.
This is what I like do.
Yeah.
I think when you talked about the women empowerment piece, and that kind of gives you a reason. Yeah. It kind of goes back to, if you can think about, if you just focus on who you are and post about those things. Exactly. It gives you so much freedom. Yeah. And but I'm constantly being criticized. It's like, why are you posting about fashion? Why? Like, I got a marketing company out of the UK. Did not ask them. They just contacted me, and they're just like, we would really like to work with you on your social media because we see that you're straying from your artistry. And I was like, there's there's definitely a lot of marketing people out there selling marketing things that have no business talking about it. Right. At the end of the day, what you accomplished with you and your son on that little account is exactly what you're supposed to do. Yeah. You do something that you enjoy. Exactly. And that's it. You just kind of share who you are, and it's so simple when you actually break it down. And once you disconnect from the idea of, that self-conscious likes, comments, stats, numbers, all that. Little immigrant girl, that 5-year-old child that's wounded. Absolutely. Once you break that, because when you said you're releasing music, I'm like, I wonder what that looks like in today's world with social and all your, you essentially build your own platform. It's a press release, essentially. And you're trying to, and I mean, I have a PR company out of Brazil hired, and that's why we did so well in Brazil. And by we, are my team, because I include the whole team in everything that I do. And so we did really well. We're on MTV hits. Cool. Which is crazy. Can't say that. See one of those, you said a bunch of crazy things. So the videos are out, or it's on the radio, or what's it's on the radio. Okay. I had my first spin in Calgary. That was spin is on a radio. Yeah. Which station? I can't. Okay, it doesn't matter. When was it, and when did you hear it? So right when Empress came out was in June. I think it was June 4th, and we got some champagne and pulled up to downtown Calgary because we just wanted to be in it, you know. And then they're just announcing that here's Mak London with Empress. This is the first spin. And then since then, it's in Europe, and it's in Brazil. It's my people are there. So it makes me sad through the pandemic I couldn't go there and just hype it up, you know, and visit and be in those radio stations. So would you want to do that? Yeah. I think so. I can't go on tour because as a parent, so this was a double-edged sword, and this is where I started to have heated discussions with people in the music industry about how to approach a career as an artist, because I think it's possible to be a digital artist now, especially with the metaverse being introduced into the world and people having virtual concerts and things like that. I don't think you have to go on tour. You don't want to? I mean, I want to and can't, or I just can't. I can't leave my kids for 4 months and go on tour. Can I fly to specific countries and do one-offs or festivals? Absolutely. I think I can squeeze that into my life. But, performance anxiety is an issue right now. Yeah, have you performed live? I did a concert at, what's that place called? In town here? Yeah, where the Flame Central used to be. What is it Palace? Now? Yeah. I did a Palace show. I've done private events and things like that. And then obviously Jack Singer and bigger concerts with my country friends. And is that, I feel I clam every time. Before you get on stage, what are you feeling before you walk out there? Adele talks about projectile vomiting before she go on stage. I'm not there, but I'm there here and here, chest. I can't breathe. You're a mess. And so in order to sing, you have to be able to breathe. So how twisted is this? All this success and all this possibility, and I have to stay in town, and I can't breathe when I go out and sing. So it's the universe has just this way of challenging you
for everything. And I think it's about perseverance. So if I can speak about empowerment and perseverance, this is going to be what I'm going to be saying to females, is just to like rise up, not only from like your own ashes and just recreate yourself and not be scared about what people think, but also about like age discrimination and all these things that women have to go through, but also about like when you hit those hurdles, like you have to make a decision. And so my decision is to get over it eventually. I'm working towards it. You know, I've got techniques and I'm, you know, I would even go and busk somewhere just to get over myself. I think it's like a me thing, you know?
Do you think it's as just keeping it secret and like behind closed doors for so long, and then all of a sudden now the lights are on you and you have to figure this out?
Yeah, because if I had joined a choir, like Billie Eilish did, which is funny because they compare my singing to her. Like if Ariana Grande and Billie Eilish had a baby, that's what the articles say. But like Billie was just speaking about getting the Women of the Year award, and she said, you know, Taylor Swift said that right now somewhere out there is a girl taking piano lessons and in a choir, and she needs to be supported right now. And I think back about like, what would my life be like if I actually just said fuck it and did it at a young age and wasn't scared and wasn't shy? Where would I be? Because I had my bags packed to go to California like 4 times. A guy stopped me every time. Yeah, it's terrible.
Fucking dudes, hey?
Man, every time.
But
got me nowhere.
but what's crazy is, that being said though, if the divorce is a trigger and give you this energy to get after it.
Yeah.
Like,
right?
I don't know. It's the only way to really look at it, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's been really good. I mean, like there's been situations that I thought I'd never be in. Like, you know, there was this one time where I was driving with my mom to Kelowna. This is right when the first 2 songs started doing pretty well and getting on the charts in Brazil and stuff. And
that's how you know? Like there's charts in different countries and when you start like
and it's really hard. It takes about $1 million to chart a song in the States. In Canada, I think it's just like around 700,000. So that's how to make it. That's how much a record label usually puts into an artist that they feel they can get the money back from, that can go on tour, can be completely accessible nonstop, fits the demographic, is in the right age bracket, et cetera, et cetera. Which leads me to my next story, which is me and Randy Jackson fighting on the phone about this for about 3 hours.
And all centered around?
About age discrimination. And like what a female is expected to look like and everything like that. Like I got into it because, you know, I'm here to represent girls and change it.
Have you always felt like this?
Yeah.
Quietly?
Yes.
And again, like...
Yeah, but I'm like the one who's fighting for everyone behind me.
Yep.
And I don't know if I can do it successfully or not, but I'm sure as heck going to try. So I'm driving to Kelowna with my mom, and we're just laughing because we ended up, you know, renting a place that's like really crappy, and so we're laughing about the night that we're about to spend in Kelowna right before we hit Penticton or wherever we were going to pick up my kids and to have a vacation with them somewhere else. And all of a sudden, like I see the phone ring, it's a California number, and I'm like, and I've had some really weird people calling me, like from record labels and stuff. So I'm like, Mom, hang on to your seatbelt. Like this is about to get interesting. So I'm like, hello, and he's like, Mac, Randy Jackson. And I'm just like,
you knew right away?
Yeah, you could recognize his voice. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, what is this about now? He's like, how are you? You know, and we just had this like really weird discussion that went in circles.
And you'd
like,
never talked to him before?
No, and he was just trying to find out everything that it was anything about me, like who I was, how old I was, you know.
Direct questions or roundabout?
Roundabout at first, and then he got more and more specific, and I was just not having it because I knew where this was going. Because nobody knew I had kids, because all my social media was shut down. I had changed my name. So there was no like trickle back for privacy reasons to my children.
Yeah.
And I knew that I was going to get discriminated. I knew I was going to lose opportunities.
Based on how old you are.
Yeah. And the fact that I have children.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, like Katy Perry can get away with it now. So can Beyonce.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
But they were readily available when they first started their careers and young.
So he's quizzing you just to like figure out
if it's an investment opportunity.
Right.
And it got to the point where he didn't know, and so he offered like, "Hey, let's finish the album in California together." And I was like, "Cool!" I was so excited, like over the moon. Hung up the phone.
And you trust him when
No.
Okay.
But like 2 hours later, the phone rings again and it's him again. And this time it's somebody else on the phone too. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, this is getting more serious. Now we're in the motel and I'm pacing. There's stains there that I didn't know. Like, you've got to paint the picture of like this girl who is pulling up to this like crazy motel. Like things just don't look the way they should. And all of a sudden I'm on the phone, like talking to Randy Jackson, pacing around in circles. Like it
doesn't work.
Exactly. It's like, again, one of those like,
sounds,
what the fuck moments.
Yeah. It's like make believe.
Right?
Yes.
And my mom's just like looking at me. She's like, how does this stuff happen to you? Like, what do you do to get to these places?
Has it always happened that way though? Or is it just recently all of a sudden
it's this last this last 4 years of like compressed, like just like it's just one thing after the other after the other. Okay. So yeah, they ended up like grilling me. And they really wanted to know. And then
dark secrets, everything, background full. Like,
everything. Yeah. And then a female from, which I won't name, from a publishing company calls me as well and starts doing the same thing and wants to like empower me by trying to get me to say my age and to say like my background. I was just not having it.
No way.
Yeah.
You knew exactly where they were going.
Yeah, I didn't. And to this day, I don't know. Now they probably know because now I've posted photos of my kids and I've kind of, I've dropped the curtain and on purpose too, because I was just tired. Yep. So yeah.
So those conversations go, do they slow you down or is it, you just keep?
They slowed me down for a little bit. I started reflecting. I got into a bit of a funk actually. And, I told Scott, I was like, how is this going to go anywhere if every single person's asking me how old I am?
Do you need it to go somewhere? Did you, because you're putting energy into this, did you have expectations of where it had to go? Or
I wanted to get I wanted it to become a successful business because the problem with musicians is that they don't think of it as a business. They think of it as a hobby and a passion, but it doesn't get you any, like, yes, your heart feels full, but your wallet's not. And not that I'm thinking about money constantly, but I wanted to be successful to some extent. Yep. And I actually was, so Clubhouse? Yep. Yeah, so I ended up going on Clubhouse and playing my music there. And I was the first artist to be signed off of Clubhouse to a sync company, a sync agency that represents my entire album. They are the only ones that have it right now, non-exclusively, and they pitch it to film and television, so like Netflix and movies and things like that. So there's been, opportunities where Hourglass has sat on a table for a Netflix show, or like, which is a song that's out right now, or Empress for a commercial. Cool. Yeah. So that's how you make money off of music. Right. You sell it to film. So your album, is it done? Like, where's that? It's done, and I've put it on hold because I quite frankly don't know. Like, my team and I are just trying to figure out what to do next. And I've gotten a recent opportunity that is pretty big, which I think will be able to like take my music to the next level. So do the project first and then come back to the music? Or do it simultaneously at the same time. And the reason that they could both work at the same time? Well, I think like I'll just say this, like I got an opportunity to be a talk show host and to interview empowering women from all over the world. One of the first females that we're interviewing is Gloria Estefan, and the second woman might just be on the Rolling Stones cover right now, so we won't declare her name, but you guys can go and research that. Crazy. So we've got 2 yeses from that, and then the list just keeps getting more and more interesting. Mm-hmm. So I think, working on my talk show and working on the music and the fashion design, maybe becoming like a brand, like you were saying, everybody's got to brand up. I was hoping you were going to say it. Yeah. Because what I was kind of thinking was like, you're about to build your brand. Yeah. And then you have this music project right there too. Right. And as your brand goes, the music can go the exact same time. So maybe it's just like the time is going to be, it's synchronicity, and it's just the universe is like, here you go, finally. And do you, when you say that, like, do you believe in that? See, I'm a really bad pessimist. I grew up pessimistic. My parents were optimistically pessimistic. Mm-hmm. And I'm really like, I wouldn't say I'm insecure because I'm confident, but I'm just like, I see all these people around me that are super, super successful. Mm-hmm. And I wonder, like, what did they do to have to get there? And will this ever happen to me? And am I worthy of that success? And so I preach the empowerment game and I preach the worthiness to everyone else. It's kind of like teacher can teach, right? But can I actually believe in myself and think that I can do it? I guess time will tell.
Do you need this to all click to feel like you're successful?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Like
That's the problem,
all
right?
the things you've accomplished.
Yeah.
You know, and
I don't know when success is going to feel like success to me, because everybody else who's around me is like, holy
it's working.
shit. Like you've done a lot. Like you're on television, you're on this, you're on that. Like you've got a huge deal right now. You're on the board of directors for the Her Network. Like what else could happen in the next 2 months? And I'm like, I don't know. Let's see.
So do you think you'll ever get to that spot then? Are you always just going to be moving toward like that internal drive to keep pushing? You
know, Matthew McConaughey said that his hero is 10 years from today. And then when he gets to that age, it's 10 years from then. So I think I'm living that life where I'm constantly leveling up and seeing what else I can do.
And does it feel comfortable? Is it?
No, it's so painful. It's entirely uncomfortable, because you've got to understand, like, I know the runway. I know if a camera went on me, I know what to do. I know how to design a home. Like in my sleep, I do it. But like to do all these other things that are just brand new in the last 4 years, and I haven't gone to get school, like to get an education for them, or it's just that I haven't been doing them for very long. But I guess, you know, with everything, it's like you put in your 10,000 hours, you're going to get good at something. So
yeah. And do you think you're actually, it's interesting, because I think even if you decide to do 10,000 hours at something, you might be horrible at it.
I think that's my singing, to be honest. I don't know. I sang in the studio yesterday, and I'm like, and again, the producer's like, you're so hard on yourself. Like, it's not that bad. And I'm like, but I could have been better. I could have been singing since I was like 5 years old, openly, right? Not just in my closet quietly.
So that occupies a lot of brain power.
Yeah. So that's been like, the origin story. It's amazing how like something like an immigration and a traumatic event like that can change a person's trajectory and really like put him in a shell for some time. Yeah. I was starting to write a book called Into the Box.
When were you writing this? Why did you start writing a book?
I felt like people needed to hear my story.
Is this like 4 years ago you decided to write this?
Yeah.
Okay. I think I can connect some dots here.
Yeah, so I started writing it, and actually I wrote the first chapter, and I was sitting, I don't know where I was flying to, Toronto, I think, and the person sitting next to me was just kind of like doing one of these, and he ended up reading the first chapter, and he's like, oh my God, like you've got to keep going. Because like there's so much that can happen to a woman, to a girl. And I think with everything that's happened to me, it's really formed who I am. And so if I can inspire or make someone think about where they're headed to, and like maybe a young 13-year-old who's like really self-conscious, but I can just pull them out of that box, that'd be amazing.
What gives you the most energy? Well, singing or this idea? Which one gets you going the most?
Wow.
When you're talking about, so I like.
Yeah. Can you tell?
I have an opinion.
Okay. I'd love to hear it.
No, you go first.
I think, the singing I do for me, that's that 5-year-old dream. I think now as an adult, it's empowering females. Yeah. And just fighting back.
It's obvious. From
sitting right across from me.
Not knowing you and talking to you for the last 55 minutes.
Yeah.
That's what I feel is like the thing.
Yeah, I would love to, speak. I did a public speaking thing in Toronto, in terms of like architecture and design and the psychology of architecture. Yep. Again, a terrifying experience because it's public speaking.
Even if you know the subject you're talking about, you're still terrified?
It was 3 hours to a bunch of delegates.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
After an 18-hour flight from Australia, I was hungover just from jet lag, not booze, but jet lag. And I'm standing there and I'm just like wobbling. For 3 hours, I was talking about something that was like slides were going behind me. And I'm like, I don't know where I am. We're looking at 2 hours in. I still have an hour to go. Can you imagine talking for 3 hours about one topic?
Nope.
I don't know why I said yes. But then again, it's one of those what the fuck moments. How am I here?
Which
I just applied. They said yes. At the time, I was starting a foundation. It was like an educational institution for holistic design. So I got actually a holistic design degree on the side of everything else. It's just I did that for fun.
And what is that? What is that program?
It encompasses like the psychology and the way that people are affected by spaces in their environment. So
not so much like clean air lighting systems. That stuff too.
But also color, material, shape, volumes, like how you go from the outside to the inside. The digital realm, like what happens when there's screens, what happens like where you should place things, and how people can feel the best in the environment, and you can achieve the best from performance. So like office spaces and things like that. So I talked about that a little bit for 3 hours. But where I'm getting with this is I would love, and I'm putting this out there to the universe because the universe is amazing. It gives you what you ask for. If I could talk to young females and empower them, I think that would be the most rewarding part of my career.
Do you have a plan for that?
Well, I think the show is going to offer that.
That's going to be a big platform.
And like maybe like some mentorship programs where I can like pick a few girls that apply and just mentor them. Or maybe there's like workshops or things we can do virtually right now. So something like that was an idea. And then, just seeing where that progresses to and what that leads to.
Is there any opportunities to go back to MRU and speak at all? Or
there was some opportunities to be a crit in the design, what's it called? Like the faculty of design, and just be not a professor, but be a crit for the projects there. But I think like on a bigger scale, I'd like to address like females and what they have to work around and work against now. So
so interesting.
I know. And it's like, do we do it in the like, what direction do we go? And do we go like overarching, or do we specifically focus on design and fashion and the arts? Or that's the question.
I think it's I don't know the answers, but to figure out what you're actually passionate about, what you enjoy talking about, will kind of give you your lanes. Versus, well, I only know this, but if you're passionate about something, then as long as you don't talk out your ass, then you can handle it.
So, I mean, you hit me at like such a crazy time because there's so much shift happening right now. And it's like, it's cool because I hope that we can talk again. And in like a couple of years, I'll be like, look at what's happened now.
This is always an interesting experience, capturing on camera. It lives on YouTube forever.
I know, it's a time capsule.
And it's just this referring back, like it's all captured, not all of it, but these things are captured, and you're going to have these moments you look back, you'd be like,
or I look at that girl and go, oh, you poor girl. Like,
just with
you were going through so much back then.
Everything that's going.
So
the music stuff on hold right now.
On hold until
what's with the
spring,
videos?
summer.
Sorry. There's a video of guys playing basketball.
Yeah.
Is that shot in Calgary?
It's shot in Calgary.
Where's that backdrop?
So Bell Studio has like this little cool courtyard, basketball court right next to it. So that was Hate Boy.
Okay.
Empress was shot in just a big giant warehouse. That was a shit show. That was like World War IV.
Really?
We had water. We had scenes changing. Like that was an insane. And this is my first music video that I'm ever producing.
When did you shoot
and directing? Like minutes before the song released.
And who helps you like to shoot? Like I watched a couple of the videos, and they're produced.
Yeah.
They're not like handy cams. They're like done.
Yeah. So my DOP is Ryan Northcott, who's excellent.
Yep.
Excellent. I think he owns Media Pop. I think that's what it's called. I just know him as Ryan. He's my guy. And he shows up with the camera and does this amazing stuff. And we work through the shot list. I usually have everything.
Your ideas?
Yeah. So as an executive producer, I do like, the call sheets. We pick like the people and the crew and everybody that's involved and makeup artists. Like, and it's because I've done this like in terms of modeling so much that I kind of can piece together like it's project management, it's modeling, and it's music. Like it's all together. So it's just all there.
So it feels
natural, super
right?
natural. It's a crazy shit show, but it's really fun. It challenges me. We can put together a music video in 24 hours. I'm that good now that it's like, okay, nothing stops us except for possibly getting hurt, which was, so Hourglass, we were at Dinosaur Park. Can you imagine? Dinosaur Park? Like, it's like a desert. Like it's
in Drumheller? Like
no, it's the other way. Can't remember where. I was driving. I was paying attention, but they were telling me where to go. And it's like 2 hours away from anything and everything. You're in the middle of the desert. I decided for some stupid reason that I was going to be in a box. And it was plexi. And we did a breakaway panel on one side. And then the other sides were solid. And I'm, first of all, in the desert, in this box, I'm sweating.
Dying.
And then there's a moment where I have to like hit the breakaway panel. But somebody, we don't know who, maybe it's me, changed the direction of the box. So all of a sudden, the breakaway panel is not the right one.
So you hammered it?
I hammered it. I hammered it with my karate hands. Can you imagine?
Like full
on.
Nothing stopping.
I don't know if I can show
Oh, no
you.
way.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So that was so close to my major artery. So there's like stories like that where you're like, oh, like you just.
How do you explain those three pieces coming together to actually be like a making videos? The runways, the interior design stuff, the project management, like to have all these, they're kind of random skills.
Yeah, they are.
But then all of a sudden, here you are at this moment, and they all come together.
Yeah.
Can you explain? Like,
well, I think like for me, project management has been a huge helper because you get really organized and you spreadsheet everything. And then being a visualist, like I not only have synesthesia, but I also see things from A to Z before they happen. Sometimes I see it like with people. I could just like intuitively know what's going to happen next. And so I literally close my eyes, and every time that I write a song or start to produce one, I already know what the music video is going to be. I already see it. It's like a dream, very visual. Like I can close my eyes and I can just like see the grains of sand. So then it's a matter of, okay, well then we need, location A for this and location B for that. And we need a person who can make blocks. Well, I just worked with a plexiglass designer because we're putting plexiglass in the restaurant that I'm designing. So, okay, well, how do we get that made then? And then it's like, what else do we need? We need a makeup artist, which I've worked at and with forever since I was young. She's fantastic, Amelia. Love her. So then I pull her in, and then I have a stylist, and so she's doing the styling, and then it's like I make a vision board. Usually that's it. Like if I can narrow it down to something, it's like people always say like you have such great vision and your vision is so strong. And so I put my vision board together and I just share it with my team, and then just away we go.
but there's no way you could have done this without all these
No.
years behind you, right?
Absolutely.
Like
And that's why I'm like happy. And that's why it makes my soul happy, is because then I know that not all those things weren't just for nothing. They're like meant to do this now.
It's like the perfect
Yeah.
storm.
You know, when people say that like when they have near-death experiences or something, they can see their life flash before their eyes and they can see the reasons. It's kind of like that, where I'm like, okay, that's why I modeled. That's why I struggled with this. This is why that happened.
Are you thinking about those things now? Like having that conversation with yourself?
Constantly.
Or with others? Like who do you talk to people about this?
I do. I have my best friends who I really go into like depth, like very spiritual conversations, very like philosophical conversations these days. I'm very deep. And
have you landed on like why it's happened?
Yeah, I think it's just because I'm supposed to help someone in the end. And I don't know what that is yet, but we'll see.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The only reason I'm asking you, and because the way you're talking about all these experiences, kind of leveling up to where you are right now, is kind of how I feel about my life too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's just a bunch of things I did in the past that have led me to where I am right now, and that's why I can execute on it.
Yeah.
You know, if I were just to come up with this idea out of the blue with no experience, it wouldn't happen.
Right.
But it's all these moments that individually they don't make a lot of sense, but all of a sudden you put them all together and they're like, wow.
And isn't it like, it's amazing about the people that come into your life along the way.
Yep.
And some people come and they go, and then some people stay. And then you always like look back and reflect on why were they there and what did they teach you? And I think that's been the greatest learning of all time for me this year, is I've been very reflective. And listen, I'm the first person who's like all about love and giving and stuff, and I've given myself a lot, and I continue to. So then I'm just like reflecting on what I'm getting in return from the universe, and what I'm getting in return from these people that come, not as like a tit for tat, but like what are they giving to me, and how am I carrying that forward and paying that forward? And that's been beautiful. Is just realizing how people have impacted my life positively and some negatively, and but still that negative is such a positive.
Yep. Especially when you can see it.
Yeah.
Then you can understand it.
Absolutely.
And just move.
Yeah, I think it's about like reflecting and like that deep deep thoughts. I mean, the pandemic, I think, has allowed a lot of people to really do some deep thinking. I went into this like crazy meditative state where I was just doing a ton of like, growth. And of course, like I recommend a therapist to anyone. But that helped me too. That was like a solid, 4 to 6 months of just like thinking about things and trying to like get the courage and yeah.
Interesting. Well, like you said, this is a very interesting time in your life.
Yeah.
To sit down and actually do this in the middle of all this is...
I know. Like here I am and I'm going to go back, I'll put my kids to bed tonight, kiss them goodnight, and then jump on the computer and start designing the webpage for my show. Like,
what are you going to build it with?
Right now, I've used Editor X, I've used Wix, I've used Squarespace.
Yeah.
But I feel like for this one, just because I just need it so fast, it's going to be Squarespace.
Yeah, do that all day, every day.
Right?
It's the best platform
so good
out there.
Yeah.
Unless you're doing like full e-com, Squarespace.
Exactly. And I can integrate the documentary in there and all the different episodes and the shop and the merch and all that stuff that has to come with branding, right? It's crazy. But I have a question for you because like, do you feel that when you're self-branding yourself, you're allowed to change your mind along the way? And how much can you change your mind? Because for example, for me, reflecting back on who I am as an artist today, as opposed to who I was 365 days ago, I'm very different now. Like I'd like to go into the dance electro pop world or maybe the R&B world tomorrow if I could.
I think if you build your brand properly, you can go where you want, when you want.
Right.
If you build your brand and you explain to people who you are, what you believe in, what your values are, you share your musical journey, you do all that super authentic over and over and over, what happens is like-minded people start to follow you. So you have ambassadors now. So the haters,
I saw that happening with the music for sure.
So the haters are going to hate.
Yeah.
And if you have to set yourself up with the ability to kind of have the blinders up and not digest anything they're saying. Yeah. Just feel bad for them because they're, the amount of energy and what kind of place do you have to be in to hop online and rip somebody about something they love?
Right.
Doesn't make sense. But
I haven't had any hate, which is really good.
So then...
But we're just getting started here, so I don't want to call them out, but
yeah. So
maybe it's going to be all right.
it could be awesome. But I think if you build an authentic brand and people know who you are, the world aligns.
Yeah.
Like-minded people come into your world. And when you decide to go do like electronica, then some people are like, it's a stretch and you're going to lose some.
Yeah.
And the new people will be like, oh my God.
This is amazing.
Who is this person?
Who is this? Yeah.
And then they do all the research on you.
Yeah.
What you stand for, all these different projects you have going on. They're like, I love this person.
Right.
So it takes some...
Because I feel like artists struggle with that. They feel cornered, especially if they're, in the they've made it big. For example, like Taylor Swift going then to folk. Like that was a big thing. Yep. Although it was kind of an easy transition for her because she's got that personality. But like, from me to go to dark pop, like the Billie Eilish sound, to all of a sudden dance music, I might lose a few people.
Yeah, and you might gain.
Or I might gain. Or it might just be like open, right? That just might be the perfect combination, the perfect storm at that moment.
Yeah, you you dark yourself out.
Yeah.
And you connect with that one person that has all the authority in whatever space it is.
Right.
And that's where you hit it.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah. But I think, building your own brand properly around who you are. Yeah. And you think about the things that are important to you, empowering women, music, design, and whatever else you want to,
love.
That's it. If you build that out, then you get to choose your own path. Yeah. Because then people just you attract the right people, and whatever comes in front of you, you get to decide.
And hopefully my disdain for social media goes away quickly. Well, that, or I might just hire someone to do it for me. I think that's where we're headed.
And I think there's a way to hack the system so that you can do it in a way that makes sense to you.
Yeah. And that doesn't feel forced. Yep. Because that's what it is right now. It's like, okay, what pictures do you do? And then just the sheer amount of content that you have to put out all the time. It's totally daunting.
That's a full-time job.
Yeah.
I get it.
That's that.
We've been talking for a while.
Yeah.
And, I want to be cognizant of your time. So there's only one question I ask the guest before this thing wraps up. And it's when I say Calgary, where does your head go?
The Calgary Tower for some reason.
Like a literal.
Yeah, I have like Tate McRae's music video in my mind as she's walking around and she's got the camera down almost at her knees and like she's singing down at it, and then all of a sudden the Calgary Tower pops by. I know it's like, ooh, I know where that is. Yeah.
Crazy.
It's been really pretty these days, you know, the colors and stuff. I feel like it's you know, Calgary's architecture has a lot of work to do. It's getting better. That's kind of what my head goes to.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing this.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, super like.
It's been fun.
Yeah, super random, but very interesting because I think as your world like keeps spinning,
right,
it's gonna be cool to see where you end up.
I think we're all just like every time that I speak to somebody, they're just like, "What's next?" And so we don't know. But I've got to balance that. I've been given a lot of lectures on balancing my life a little bit more and not you know, burning out is a big thing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So just got to be careful of that.
Good idea.
But the world's your oyster.
Thanks again.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.